Am I the asshole for not giving up my husband's seat on a plane? This happened to us while flying to France out of Raleigh. My husband and I had booked our aisle and middle seats together. While boarding, my husband got up to use the bathroom before the pre-flight announcements. As we double-checked our seat location, there was a woman already sitting in the window seat of our row with a baby. As soon as I put my purse in my seat to take off my sweater and settle in, her husband came over to sit in my husband's seat. He looked at me and said, "Oh, I need to sit next to my wife and baby." I responded without moving out of his way that it was my husband's seat and he was in the bathroom. He said, "Would he mind sitting in my seat?" and then proceeds to point all the way towards the back of the plane. I immediately responded, "I can speak on behalf of my husband, and that would be a no." They both looked at me with confused looks on their faces, like I somehow didn't have a right to politely decline. Then they tried to get the flight attendant's attention. But as they did that, the person sitting directly behind the woman with the baby lifted herself out of her seat and said, "If you knew you were flying with a baby, you should have made sure your seats were booked together." They both looked at each other and then the lady behind us and blankly looked at me, while they mumbled something about trying to do that, but they couldn't for whatever reason. Then my husband was back, and hers had already walked away. My husband sat down, and I quietly told him what had just occurred, in case her husband came back and asked for himself, or if the flight attendant was brought over. And he was glad it didn't let his seat go. With it being a long flight and him having anxiety about flying, he definitely didn't want to be sent to the back of the plane alone, and I definitely didn't want to be sitting alone next to a couple with a small baby for hours across the Atlantic. But I was even more appreciative of the woman behind us who spoke up just because. Safe travels, everyone.